Hey guys, Toby Mathis here with Infinity Investing, and today we're going to talk about micro investing, the pros and cons of micro investing. So the first thing we should probably get out of the way is, what the heck is micro investing? Like, isn't it just investing, but in a smaller way? No. Companies like Acorn, Robinhood, companies that allow you to do fractional shares, that's micro investing. In other words, I don't have quite enough to buy the share of Amazon, which is like $3,000 a share, right? Maybe I don't have enough to buy the shares of ABC Inc. That's $100 a share. So I'm going to buy 1/10 of it. I'm going to start buying pieces of it, and eventually I'm going to put together full shares. So there's nothing inherently wrong with doing micro investing. I'm just going to say you need to be very cognizant of what are called compounders and the lack thereof with micro investing. In other words, when I put together a strategy and I'm going to develop and grow wealth, not rich, I want wealth, I'm looking at really kind of three things. Number one, I'm looking at the growth of the company. Number two, I'm looking to get paid to be an investor in that company. And number three, I need to be able to rent that company, those shares, to somebody else. I'm going to take those in kind of in order. The growth. This is where Wall Street is enamored. This is where the talking heads on TV are going to constantly push you. Hey, the company's going to go up. The company's going to go up. I need to know that even if the company does not grow in terms of its share price, that I'm still getting benefit out of it. So think of it like this. You have your Uncle Lou's going to start a pizza shop. So you loan Uncle Lou $10,000 to help him start up his pizza shop, for lack of a better word. You're going to take a little small position in his company. He's going to set up Lou Inc. Now, 10 years later, if Lou gave you back your $10,000, you'd probably go, hallelujah, he gave me. No, it's, I got the $10,000 back, but it is lost value. The $10,000 doesn't buy what it used to, because there's going to be something called inflation. So if I'm just returning and getting back my investment, it's really not doing much to me. Now, if Lou said, every year I'm going to give you give me $10,000, I'm going to give you $500, and I'm going to pay you because we're making money, and I'm going to pay you that $500. That would take some of the sting out of it if at the end of the 10 years he just gave you back your $10,000. I'm getting the $500 a year as well. So it's going to turn out that I will be getting $15,000 on my share. In the stock market, that's called a dividend. So if you're not getting a dividend, you're losing out on that, and your investment could actually start to go down unless the company goes up. So here comes all these, cable shows, and they're talking about the companies going up and down. They never talk about getting paid for the ownership, and which is why so many people lose money. But it's exciting. Hey, the company could double. I don't care if the company doubles. I want to get paid. Now let's go back to Uncle Lou, and I gave him $10,000. And I said, don't worry about the $10,000. I want to have $500 a year come out to me. Like, if you, for kicks, go to Shark Tank and watch Mr. Wonderful, where he's always trying to get a royalty of some sort. He's always trying to get money off of his money. And he's like, I'll give you the money, but I want 3 cents per unit until my entire investment is paid back, because he knows it wouldn't be taxable to him, right? He's like, hey, I want the return of my money, but then I still have an interest in the company. That's where this number two area really focuses on. I want to get something while I'm investing. And the problem with micro investing is that if you don't own full shares, you will not be entitled to receive the full amount of whatever the dividend is paid out, if at all. So you got to make sure that you're watching that very clearly, and at least getting to the point where you're getting full shares. I know it might take you a bit, but get to the point where you're getting full shares. I want the full share. I want to get my money. Now, here's the next area. The third spot was, I want the ability to rent it out. This is called a covered call. This is where you are giving and selling to somebody the right to buy your company for more than you paid for it. So go back to Uncle Lou. I have $10,000 with Uncle Lou, and I sell my cousin Mary, says, hey, you know what? I think Uncle Lou's business is going to skyrocket. I just don't have $10,000. But how about this? I'll give you $1,000, and if Lou's company goes up in value to where your $5,000 is now worth $20,000, I can buy it from you for $12,000. So it's $10,000, but if it goes up and it gets more valuable, I can buy it from you over a set period of time for $12,000. Did I lose money? No. I gave Lou $10,000. I sell Mary the right to buy it from me at $12,000, but she also paid me $1,000. So let's do the math. I got $10,000 that I put in. I now got I got $1,000. No matter what happens, if it goes up in Lou's company skyrockets and goes up in value, I still get $12,000. I get a total of $13,000. I do not lose money. That's called renting out stock, selling an option. You can do that on particular companies that have the ability to write options. But here's the rub. You have to own 100 shares. One option contract is for 100 shares. So you've got to get yourself to the point where you're doing that. Now you can do that with things like ETFs, where it's a bucket of companies. So let's go into number 2, which is, so we have micro investing is fine. Number 2 is, okay, now that I'm micro investing, should I invest in bundles or should I invest in individual stocks? And I'm going to tell anybody who's an investor something that I've read long ago, which is Professor Jeremy Siegel did an analysis of the S&P from 1957 to like 2003. It was over a long period of time. And what he found is that with the S&P over that stretch, so it's 1957 to 2003, something like 917 companies had been replaced off the S&P because the weaker companies fall out and they get replaced with new companies. So if you buy an ETF, which is what I would suggest, not mutual funds, stay away from the mutual funds. An ETF is a fancy way of saying one share of a basket that owns all these different companies. You would own the entire S&P 500, including whenever they swap out. But this is what Professor Siegel found out. When those companies are dropping out, when you have the bottom half, it's dragging down the value of the S&P. So I want you to think about this. You have an entire bucket of companies. You have your top half of that bucket and you have the bottom half of the bucket. It's just inevitable. It happens, right? There's always going to be your stronger and your weaker at any given time. The S&P replaces those weaker. If all you had done was invest in the companies, the original companies that started the S&P, just the original ones before they started to expand out, just said, hey, you know what? These are good companies. I'm just going to invest in them. You would be, in some cases, up 20 to 26%. I think 26% was the highest per year during that stretch, and they performed considerably better. So in English, what we're going to do is identify the companies that are in the top half, and what the magic number is between 10 and 20 of those. 10 and 20 of those companies, if we buy good companies in the S&P and we make sure they're fairly valued, which you can do on our site at infinityinvesting.com. But if you look and make sure that they meet the 7 criteria for us, that is going to be considerably better than investing in the basket of stocks that represent that ETF. I'm just trying to make it easy for you. So what we like to do is start picking multiple companies that are strong companies, have good PEs, paying out decent dividends. They're not at their peaking. They haven't had all the growth. In other words, when something gets added to the S&P, quite often they've had a big growth cycle. It's already gone. The horse has already left the barn by the time they get in the S&P. You're so much better off picking and sticking to good companies that you're better off picking and sticking to about 10 to 20 companies than buying that overall. So I want to hit on that. And then the last thing as I was going to hit on you is that if you are micro investing and you're just getting started, I'm going to assume that your income is a little bit lower. And if your income is lower, that means you're going to qualify for something called a Roth IRA. So if you're going to do your micro investing, make sure that you're doing so in a vehicle where you never have to worry about taxes ever again. Roth IRA is a fancy way of saying, I don't get a deduction for putting money into it, but I never pay tax on any of the growth or that underlying money that I put in there. Now, you do have to care about the growth during, like, I think it's the first 5 years, and then there's some other criteria like first house and things like that. I could get the money out without ever having to worry about. I can always take back my investment. So if I put $5,000, for example, in a Roth during a year, I can always take the $5,000 back out. If I put $5,000 in that Roth and it goes up to $7,000, so there's $2,000 of growth, I have to worry about tax on that growth. So what I really care about is that you're putting the money into that Roth. You could get that money back out if need be. That's another thing to think about. So if you're going to do micro investing, I would make sure that you're buying individual companies and that you're looking for good quality dividend paying companies that are strong. And again, if you need a list, go to Infinity Investing. We actually keep that inside of our basic area, which is absolutely free. You can go there, take a look. You start building up till you get 100 shares. Once you have 100 shares, now you're going to rent it out to somebody, and you're going to take in that extra money, just like we rented Uncle Lou's stock to Mary for $1,000. If it goes up, great. We still made money. If it goes down, doesn't matter. We get to keep Mary's money, but we're going to do that, and we're going to continue to add on additional. With our goal is to hit about 20 different good companies where we have 100 shares of each. And if micro investing gets you there, more power to you. It's going to start unlocking a lot of doors to you if you do it over a long period of time. It works out great. And just trust me on this. We've looked as a firm, we've looked at tens of thousands of returns. We do about 10,000 a year for investors. This works over time. You don't have to sit here and wonder. You could back test any of the things I'm telling you. Over time, investing in good companies that pay out dividends. It's what Warren Buffett does. It's what he's done. How he made all of his billions of dollars. That works. Trying to do fast stuff, time the market, does not work. Statistically speaking, you will lose your money. You have about a 5% success rate trying to time that market. Don't mess with it. Buy good companies that pay you and allow you to rent them out, and you're going to be absolutely aces. If you like this type of information, guys, please subscribe and like. And more importantly, if you know somebody who's making mistakes or who's going down the wrong path, share this with them. Lead them to us. We are a great community, and we will point them in the right direction, and we can also help you out. So absolutely, like us, subscribe, and we'll see you in our community.